Welcome to AIBiz, where innovation meets intuition and we decode the future of business through data and humanity. I'm your host, Sayan, and today we are going to talk about human centered growth. With me is today's guest, Jocelyn Nowak. She bridges worlds that rarely meet. She's a growth coach and advisor helping startups align their vision, values, and impact. With over a decade in healthcare technology and training as a yoga instructor and herbalism and practitioner, Jocelyn brings a truly holistic approach to growth. She's also collaborating on groundbreaking AI projects like Mirror 360 and integrally.one, platforms that are designed to drive self-awareness and interconnectedness across business ecosystems. So, if you have ever wondered how AI can become a tool for harmony, not just hustle, this conversation is going to expand your perspective. So, Jocelyn, I welcome you to the show. It's an absolute honor to have you here with us.
It was an honor to hear that intro, bro. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, who is this person? You made me sound so cool. Thank you."
Okay. And it was indeed an awesome intro. So, Jocelyn, how are you doing today?
I am so happy to be alive, like, every day. I do my best to just be grateful for this, so I'm stoked. I'm excited to talk because really, artificial intelligence or pseudo intelligence, however you wanna frame it, I never thought I'd be in this space, but I'm so grateful to be, because of my ability to ground these healing practices with the intense, growth that's going on in technology right now.
Mm-hmm. Right. So, Jocelyn, you talk about growth that's human centered instead of, hyper accelerated and in a world that is obsessed with scale. What does harmony in business growth actually look like?
Man, I mean, it looks like a lot of things, and this is where harmony, to me, is more of a feeling than a visual experience, and feelings can be
Right.
quantified. You can measure harmony, which is really cool. That's almost a shout out to Mirror 360. There's these tools out there that actually measure the coherence and communication of teams in a way where harmony can be, or disharmony can be surfaced. So there's a lot of beautiful things going on right now as it relates to understanding the harmonics of a team and how they collaborate. And when you think about what that looks like, from someone who sat on
Mhm.
teams that are out of harmony and in harmony, I think freedom is one of the components that you can see and feel,
Right.
um,
Absolutely.
that really drives harmony, like freedom of self, freedom of ideas,
Mhm.
and freedom of time to an extent, is really what allows maximal harmony and in turn productivity and efficiency because humans love to collaborate. I mean, I know I do. And it's just a matter of taking onus as a management team or a builder, because they really are one and the same. That onus to drive harmony through awareness, and we're at this interesting time where there's a lot of tools helping drive that awareness.
Wow, that's a refreshing take. Treating alignment as business strategy is not an afterthought, right? Is what you said. So, speaking of the freedom that you mentioned about Jocelyn and as well as reflection, you have worked with Mirror 360, which basically creates reflective AI feedback loops. What's the difference between an ethical mirror that helps growth and a data dashboard that just measures numbers?
The human component, and how funny, being human centered in every decision you make as you build technology is what maintains the integrity and purpose of that tool. So what an awesome question, first of all, as it relates to Mirror 360, because when I was speaking to the founder, Petar, I really peppered him with the
Mhm.
same kind of questions. I'm like, what are you guys doing on the technical side? Because here I am from a growth perspective. I understand messaging. I can help
Right.
the most technical founder on the planet be able to explain to someone this beautiful tool that they've made to make the world a better place. And when I was talking to Petar, it was very clear, one, energetically, he is so in alignment with doing what's best for the collective and not just
Mm.
the self. Although you could argue what is the difference between the collective and the self, but that's a rabbit hole for the spiritual side of Jocelyn. I really think when it comes to checks and balances and making sure that these reflections that we receive from technology partners like Mirror 360, we include the human in the dialogue as much as possible. And dialogue is an intentional word. When you're building technology, you have an opportunity to build open-endedness or clarity within your tools. And the more clarity we build through componentization and ensuring that these tools are fed real, authentic human data, the more powerful they can be as assistants to drive clarity, transparency, and honesty. Because particularly with Mirror 360,
Mhm.
um, there's a there's a space that has not been uncovered in the human experience as it relates to work, and that is honesty between
Right.
colleagues and managers.
Right.
So really having a mirror and a reflection rather than sitting right in front of someone that you don't spend enough time with and you don't know well, and giving that reflection in an objective way can really help unveil disharmony on a team.
Now, I have a very interesting question since you mentioned about honesty. Like, how do you think leaders and teams can respond to, honest feedback without reacting negatively?
Turn it into excitement, man. I mean, this is where it's like, this is the onus on the individual, and why I enjoy working one-on-one with executives is call each other out at like, "Hey, when you hear that feedback and it puts you in a place of vulnerability and fear and embarrassment, whatever that is, flip
Right.
that as quickly as you can to like, thank you for the trust. Thank you for being vulnerable enough to say this to me, knowing that, I'm the one who is central in this opportunity. And it's hard because, or challenging, I guess is the better word. It's challenging to take the level of onus you do need to when you build a company, but that's the level of intention a founder should come in with. It's like you are
Mhm.
paying someone, which in this reality is their livelihood. Like that energetic exchange
Mhm.
of money to the individual is so disempowering in some ways to that individual. So for them to be empowered enough to come to you, you have to have a switch where you go, this isn't about me. And in fact, it's about you and me being grateful for you being so
Right.
vulnerable and open and diagnosing what's wrong in the business. Because if you think of the business as a body, a human body, and each cell is a different employee or colleague or leader or individual contributor, however you label teammates to help you communicate. If every atom had a voice and it could say, I have a paper cut, don't put anything there, or, ooh, this is starting to actually hurt and I feel numb. It's like your body's communicating with you. You want your team to communicate with you in that same way versus ignoring something and letting it get worse and worse. And I'm a big proponent of the idea that as entrepreneurs, you are taking on full embodiment of the human experience. And that
Right.
includes taking ownership of your impact on those around you to the absolute nth. So when it comes to honesty, it's a two-way street. If you're expected to receive and receive, you give it to, and vice versa. There's a back and forth. Um, and I think it's leading by example and being willing to receive and seeing it as the gift that it is when it comes that really differentiates leaders that grow versus those that don't.
Mhm. Wow, I love that take. This, makes me realize that transparency might just be the new form of trust. And since we are having this discussion on transparency, awareness, alignment, it's fascinating how you bring practices like yoga and mindfulness into business strategy. And Also, Jocelyn, you're helping build integrally.one, right? Which is an AI powered free speech platform. So some people hear that and they worry that it will lead to chaos or misinformation. So what are they essentially missing about your approach to human-centered AI governance?
I don't even know where to begin, man. There is so much uh different about Integrally One than most solutions in the market right now that allow the level of dialogue that's possible in a way that is decentralized, uh, moderated, democratically, and completely anonymized. Um,
Okay.
so those are really the triggers that allow this to be the kind of safe space where literally anyone can say anything. I mean, we are so willing when it comes to uh having dialogue to sit down with anyone, that we wanted to create a space for that at our table, while building this tool. And I am going to be totally frank that it's like we're in beta, and I'm being
Mm.
gentle with this launch. I want to be thoughtful, because this tool has the potential to shift the collective, into a space of transparency and trust. And I love that you picked the word transparency, and we've been discussing honesty because something I learned recently is that there's a difference between transparency and honesty. And I'll use the example of a relationship.
Mhm.
So when a partner wants to check your phone or you have to show them something, that's honesty.
Mhm.
They want to look,
Right.
they want to see. Transparency is knowing they can if they want to, but not needing to. You know what I
Right.
mean? It's like there's this
Absolutely.
kind of line between it where it's like you have such a deep level of trust when an environment is fully transparent that you don't have to have that uh potential discomfort that comes with unveiling. It's already out there. It's like you share a Google Calendar and you collaborate on billing. You do things together with your partner, and in this digital environment, one of the things that's been lacking since day one, the birth of the internet, is complete transparency. And on one hand, it's beautiful to be able to have like a private dialogue. Like, let's say on Integrity One, you have a dialogue with Teg, our AI. And
Mhm.
what happens is you can actually test out messaging and say something that might be a faux pas, but you want to discover, and Teg will automatically counter. No matter what you say, it's gonna come back and it's going to give you a counter, and then you can continue that conversation. And in that conversation, you'll see their counter and change your view, change your mind, and be able to start typing a reply. And in that reply, Ted comes in and offers references. These references come from all over. We have certain partners that give us access to certain scholarly databases so that we can really drive truth seeking and sense making at scale. So it's a very exciting platform to be on the precipice of growth. And I say precipice because, and I hate that word, you could tell precipice, precipice. It's somewhere in there. But no, I love that word. That's why I'm trying to say it. Geez. But we're right on the edge, and I think about yoga. I'm a yoga instructor. I've done Reiki
Mhm.
teaching. I'm in that energetic space. And in yoga,
Right.
there this concept of being on the edge. And what is yoga but unity, interconnectedness. And this is more
Mhm.
Reiki. Every system has a name. It's like bifurcating us fully. But when we look at the yin and the yang, and we go into the duality of reality, there's an edge that we can reach where we can reach across the aisle, as they say in politics, but you can reach across and actually feel what the other side feels like.
Mhm.
And that's where one of the phrases our founder says, um, repeatedly, is empathy, not sympathy. Like, get in there, like, feel the feeling, but do it in an objective and meaningful way where you can actually communicate. Like, we should be able to dialogue. We do not need to throw hands. Words are not
Hmm.
violence. These are all things that drive the ethos at Integrally One. And I hope that makes people excited from an AI perspective listening in, because
Absolutely.
there are beautiful tools being made out there by people who are pure-hearted and looking to drive positive change with technology. And wouldn't it be cool if the pseudo intelligence, artificial intelligence that we use, drove us towards Wakanda, and like this Disney picturesque vision of, here's technology and here's nature, and we've used technology to empower us as humans to live at scale with nature in harmony. Boom.
Mhm.
That's the future. Done. Signed, stamped, delivered. No, I'm just kidding. Wouldn't that be good?
I mean, Jocelyn, I'm truly, I'm at loss of words, so to say. Like, that's such a refreshing perspective that you have put forward. I have never heard anyone frame it like that. That was so beautifully put together. And since you come from, that um, spirituality background, Jocelyn, I want to ask you on behalf of all the listeners, pragmatic listeners that are listening to us right now, that what's the one soft skill from the spiritual world that's proven to be a hard advantage in leadership?
Oof. Ooh, that is such a good question. And I would say taking ownership of your energy, whatever that means for you. And it's not specific enough. It's like, I'm not telling you go home and meditate for 20 minutes twice a day using the transcendental meditation method. It's like, that is one option. So is Reiki. So is asana. There's many things you can do to ground yourself in this reality to the point of being embodied enough in your body enough to take ownership of your energetic field and be the light. I really mean that. And I honestly, if I had to pick one of all my spiritual practices, and my life is a spiritual practice, it's like
Mm.
when I walk my dogs, when I wake up, when I have some soy milk, I don't know, whatever happens. But if I really had to pick one, it would be Reiki. I've
Okay.
trained under a multitude of master teachers. I've had incredibly profound self-healing experiences practicing Reiki that I feel that's something I can teach and am the most comfortable with. So yes, investing in myself so that I could know enough to take onus of my energetic field is where I would push people gently, with great love and nurturing, on a journey towards growth. That when you do the spiritual growth, the business growth happens, man. And if you don't go that, you're probably not surviving as an entrepreneur. Like, there is a level
Right.
of spiritual growth that is forced, because growth is growth, and
Mm.
how it shows up on the physical and the metaphysical plane is varied and constantly changing, but deeply interconnected. It's my
Mm-hmm.
favorite word.
Right. I love that. I love that. Like, what you said essentially is soul now, scale next. I mean, that's what he essentially said. Because when businesses, in my experience, lead, with integrity, growth stops being a gamble. It is like it's almost certain. It becomes gravity at that point. So that's again a very beautifully framed by you. So, Jocelyn, before we wrap this up, uh, for all the listeners who want to connect with you, what's the best way to reach out? And don't worry, everyone. I'll include all the links in the show notes so you can check them out anytime.
Honestly, probably LinkedIn. Let's just keep it simple, because if they want to talk to me directly, LinkedIn is always going to be the best place. I do have a website. I have a Reiki studio where I teach in downtown LA called Peaceful Prosperity. You can find me. I'm always floating around. And the only place that I'll probably have a solid, consistent presence is going to be LinkedIn, because I am floating around. And I did want to add one thing that came to me when you were talking about, bringing integrity into your life and into tech.
Mm-hmm.
A phrase I always say, and it just came to me, so I'm doing it. Wealth is a
Go on.
byproduct. Oh, I'm gonna restart. I wanna say this. I wanna say this. This is like my favorite
Sure.
thing to say. I believe that wealth is a byproduct of doing the right thing. I think that doing the right thing, and by right, you know in your soul, your heart-centered soul, when something is healthy or unhealthy, which is
Absolutely.
right or wrong. So really, when you're in alignment with health, when you're in alignment with self, wealth is a byproduct of doing the right thing. And I've seen that a million times in my life. That's what I tell the founders I work with. Uh, it's really a gift to be in a space of impact like growth, because it's something we all experience and need a little support in.
Wow. A lot of listeners listening right now would resonate with that truth and the insight that you shared, Jocelyn. So, Jocelyn, thank you for showing us that AI doesn't have to be cold, complex, or corporate. It can be a mirror for our best humanity. For everyone listening, here's your 3-step harmony sprint for the week ahead. 1. Begin one meeting with a 2-minute group breath and a shared intention. Second, add an empathy check to your next KPI review. For example, when reviewing your results or numbers, simply ask yourself a question: what did achieving this cost emotionally? And lastly, audit your data ethics. Ask yourself, would you be comfortable if the same data were collected about you? Would you be okay with that? So, dear listeners, you heard Jocelyn. Follow her at jocelynnowak.com and explore projects like Mirror 360 and Integrally.one to learn how AI can reconnect, not just automate. I am Sayan, and this is AIBiz, where intelligence meets integrity. Until next time, keep your system smart, your hearts open, and your business beautifully human.